Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. 2 videos in a week, who'd have thought? I want to talk a little bit about transfers. Obviously, I've talked about the asterisk title. I've talked about null and void being taken off the table. You can go watch them videos if you want to talk about that. And everything should be caveated, of course, with the fact that we live in really, really difficult and challenging times and what have you. So make sure everyone stays safe to the best of your ability and stay happy to the best of your ability as well, too. I'll talk about transfers because it's nice to talk about some of the more irreverent things, really, all told. And, you know, with football looking like it's going to be returning in some way, shape or form, or at least a conclusion to the season is drawing in, it means that once the season is drawn in, plans can start to be made towards next season, which seems crazy to talk about a season next season when this season hasn't even happened, but that's the world we live in, and that's what transfers are all about. Liverpool have been heavily linked in the last week with Kalidou Koulibaly. They've been heavily linked by the media and by the player himself to Timo Werner. We've seen links to Jadon Sancho. We've seen links to a few different players, and I wanted to talk about them. The Koulibaly thing, I think, is a really interesting topic for debate because, in a wider sense, in a general sense, do I think Liverpool are going to go big in the transfer market between seasons, whatever that looks like? No, I don't. I don't think any club really will, if I'm being perfectly honest. Now, they might bring in a volume of players, but in terms of like astronomical transfer fees, I just don't think the money's going to be there because obviously clubs have just had a hiatus where they're not bringing additional revenues in. Like, you know, club shops have been shut and club cafes and all the extra bits and pieces. There's no pre-season tours where you can go and generate loads of revenue and all that kind of thing. So I do think there will be a tightening of the purse strings, so to speak, from a lot of football clubs. And I think Liverpool will be that too. And I don't think that's necessarily a really bad situation for the Reds. I'll talk about the players, but I'll explain that first before I dive into it, because of the situation that Liverpool are in with the current squad. Liverpool have got a very young squad, they've got a very hungry squad, they've got a very talented squad. So as far as most clubs go, Liverpool are in a pretty strong position, but we'll kind of swing back around to that in a bit. And I'll talk about Koulibaly, and I don't think Liverpool will buy Kalidou Koulibaly, but do I think that means that we should not have the discussion about him? No, I think it's an interesting discussion to have, because the strongest point you can make about where Liverpool are, and bear in mind, I had this exact same argument at the end of last season, Liverpool are in a position of strength. You should always look to build from positions of strength. It's not good to sit still. That's the base argument. And let's follow that argument on, because I think it's a good starting point for debate. Because you don't want to rest on your laurels, because just because you're at the top, there's this notion that you've got nowhere else to go. Can you go any higher than the best? Obviously, you can't win. You don't get given 2 league titles for being better, for getting more points the following season. And let's face it, the level that Liverpool were playing at in terms of points per game and what have you, there's not too much more you can do. But what you've got is more teams looking to bring you down, looking to tear you down. You become a bigger and bigger scalp, and your nearest rivals, they've got room to improve. So they go big. They go very big, and they do everything in their power to try and catch you up. And all of a sudden, you've got a whittling of a gap. Liverpool have done it. They did it to Man City. You see it happen to teams all the time. Man City will have done it to Manchester United. You know, and it happens. That's what happens when you've got one team on top and one team coming up. If you've been watching the Last Dance documentary on Netflix, they always talk about this. You know, they talk about having the Bulls team coming up and catching up with the Pistons team, and then the Pistons team goes away, and then the Knicks come back, and they're the team all of a sudden who are challenging, looking to knock the team off top spot. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Liverpool's job is to stay on top of the pile for as long a period of time as possible. So buying Kalidou Koulibaly in, look, does he fit the profile? No, because he's already in the prime of his career. So I don't know that Liverpool will go big on players like that. And now, obvious counter-argument to that is one Virgil van Dijk. And that's why I think the discussion's worth having, because for 2 reasons. I don't think we need Koulibaly because he plays in Virgil van Dijk's position. Now, could you shift Virgil van Dijk over to the right side of centre-half and play Koulibaly at the left side of centre-half? Yes, you could. And that would be absolutely stupendous. However, what does it do, of course, to the progression of Joe Gomez? And I've seen a lot of people saying, well, Gomez is injury prone. Is he? Is he really injury prone? He has had injuries, but I don't know that he's truly injury prone. I think the major problem he had, look, he broke a leg, a year or so ago. It took him a long time to get back from that, and it took him a lot of this season to get up to speed again. And look, I think all of our centre halves, with the exception, touch wood so far, of Virgil van Dijk have had their, ins and outs and what have you. I think Gomez is young enough that I don't think it's a massive problem just yet, if I'm being honest. And I think it's fair to say that Liverpool's best centre-back partnership is Van Dijk and Gomez. And I think Gomez has the ability to evolve over time into Van Dijk's replacement, because I think he's got that cool head about him. He's good on the ball. He's maybe not quite tall enough, but I mean, look, there's plenty of top quality centre-halves down the years. Sergio Ramos isn't 6'5". There's plenty of examples of players who can be amazing, but don't necessarily need to be 6'4", 6'5" to do it. That's my concern on that. But I look at it from this perspective. Kalidou Koulibaly is better than Matip, he's better than Lovren, and he's probably better than Joe Gomez, if we're being perfectly honest. He's probably, if he's not the second best centre-half in the world, he's in that small clutch of 2 or 3 that are just below Virgil van Dijk. And if you go and get him, what you do is you stop Man City buying him, and you stop Man United buying him, and you stop whoever. I mean, let's face it, it's probably Man City are only going to be the other team close to Liverpool for the foreseeable future. So that's enough. You stop a rival, because top quality centre-halves in world football are so thin on the ground. And like, this has crept up. This has been a thing that's been building for a number of years. No one's really got onto it. It's only when you see someone like Van Dijk who raises the bar that you realise, my God, there's a real paucity of top quality centre halves. When you think about it, we were crying out. We wanted to get Matthias de Ligt, and he's fine. He's obviously a good centre half, but is he as good as Virgil van Dijk? He's not even in Virgil van Dijk's league. Let's be perfectly honest. And there's loads of these other guys who are all fine. Dejan Lovren is a good centre half, but compared to Van Dijk, there's levels. Matip is a very good centre half, but compared to Van Dijk, and it goes on. Koulibaly, I think, is just about in that bracket. So if you get him, you are stealing a solid defence away from another team. Because look, you leave teams with options of like Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire is fine, but again, levels. If you can get him, you've got the best centre-back pairing in world football, bar none. With actually, you can swap Gomez in for either of them two, and you've still probably got the best centre-back pairing in world football. That gets me a little bit, you know what I mean. So I would do it if I thought Liverpool had the money to do it and make it happen. And if this was Footy Manager, I would just do it just to do it. Will Liverpool do it though? I don't think they will. On the Timo Werner front, and even though it could well be £50 million, which in the current climate is going to be a lot of money, I think Liverpool might still push that deal through, because I think that money's been earmarked for a while. And I don't think we needed Werner last summer, as evidenced by how good Liverpool have been this year. But I think with a few question marks over what Origi's future is going to be, I think we've seen the limits of Origi. I don't think he's ever going to be more than he is for us. And he's going to reach a point where he's thinking, I could go and be the main man for another team. I might even be able, he might even be able to go and be a main man for a Champions League team, because he's got that kind of buzz around him, and that'd be fair play to him. Shaqiri, now if you want to talk injury prone, I think we'd have less issues if we'd have, I think we'd have seen more of Shaqiri if he was fit this season, but he hasn't been, and that's a big question mark. And then you've got Minamino, who's still being blooded in. So the Werner stuff for me, I think we will push that through, because I think that's succession planning. I think that plans against, look, Salah's not going anywhere, Mane's not going anywhere, Firmino's not going anywhere. And you've already brought in a 23, 24-year-old Minamino who's ready to come and step in. You bring Timo Werner in, who fits into that model, and you've got your next 2 guys in waiting. And then in addition to that, you get to see what happens with Ryan Brewster's development. And that is what you do. That is building from a position of strength, particularly because Liverpool being able to blow teams away is one of the most important aspects of our game. The defence doesn't need major work. We've got the best keeper in the world. We've got the best centre-half in the world. We've got one of the best young centre-halves. We've got the best full-backs in world football. We maybe need to bolster that a little bit. But what we've got as well, and it shouldn't be forgotten, is Liverpool have got good youth coming through as well. Curtis Jones is going to be better for playing more football. Nico Williams is going to be better. Whether Yasser Larouci's got it, I don't know, or Adam Lewis, still big question marks over those two. And then, of course, you've got Ryan Brewster. That, for me, is Liverpool will be better just for being a season older. So we maybe, as much as we're looking to build from a position of strength, we are building from a position of strength just by existing. Because again, Curtis Jones, I think, is ready to have a breakout season. Nico Williams has already proved he's more than a capable deputy. So that solves problems for you. And again, if you can somehow manage to get a tune out of Ryan Brewster, you've maybe saved yourself £50 million there as well. Still a lot of ifs and buts over that, but this is not Liverpool 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or, you know, at any point. We've proven ourselves an absolute hotbed of youth development in the recent years because we've got an amazing manager, an amazing coaching system that gets the best out of young players. So I would actually, more than any other time, say that it's no guarantee that you're going to get better out of the young players that you've got, but it's the most likely it's ever been. And if you can just add a little bit more, one more player, I think, for the front three, and you might need to go and find another centre half. And that would be Koulibaly if it was up to me, but I don't know that it will be. I think Liverpool are pretty set, regardless of what the football landscape looks like, even in the short to medium term. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. What do you think Liverpool should do in terms of transfers? Do you think they'll do any business? Let me know in the comments. You want more from me? I've got a podcast with the man, Chris Page, the man, the legend, where we just shoot the breeze, chat about life, universe, parenthood, the big issues happening in the world, from politics to football, to TV and film. It's a brilliant, brilliant podcast. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. And if you want more from me, I've got a Patreon, patreon.com/Maych. It helps support what we're doing. And I've also got a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Maych Gaming. See you over there for some PES streams. Thank you very much. Have a boss day. Ta-ra.